Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So, oh my goodness, I had every reason today to not stay on my plan, but it was No Excuse Wednesday. Now I'm going to start every day with no excuse. It was No Excuse Wednesday. So I absolutely stayed on plan. I had forgotten my greens, so I only had fruit, which was a little bit heavy on my body. Like I could actually feel the sugar in there. And I was sorry for that. I more than made up for it at dinner in terms of the greens. It was 104 degrees, and I got out there and I walked my 10 laps. No sunburn. Yay for alkaline diets. But yeah, 104. I almost gave up at the 6 lap. I almost gave up at the 8th lap. And I was just like, no. I mean, if not now, when? Right? And I pushed myself and I did it. Yay, God. Absolutely clean. Thank you very much. Have a great plan for tomorrow to stay clean. Did temptation come knocking? A couple of times, for which I will honor myself with a couple of my urges. Let me give myself a few urges, and my urge jar, yeah, this thing is filling up. But it's just such a great way to appease, dare I say, my monkey mind. What's up, coconut? All of these things, I mean, they seem silly, but they work. All right, so not so silly while I do all of this stuff, I'm trying to get to bed, was the icon for this video. So important. And it reads, forgive yourself for survival patterns you picked up while enduring trauma. Forgive yourself for survival patterns you picked up while enduring trauma. Just saying that sentence makes me emotional. Not even kidding you. I so get that. You know, sometimes I'll be really hard on myself. 1 second, please. I don't want anything to fall. And on top of everything else, first, I didn't celebrate with you guys that I had done my exercise every single day of the month, which was a total goal for me. My food was not absolutely perfect, but it was certainly more perfect than it would have been if I had not eaten. Done my little stickers. So these stickers, again, a way to appease that inner child, is a really good method for me. So I will continue with that. And today is the second day. And what's great is I just get these stickers in the mail anyway, for like donations and things like that. And so I put my little stickers on there to appease my monkey. And it's already starting out so beautifully. And then I like to write how many steps I walked. And I do take the time to do that as well. And I will do that. But it's in my phone, and you are my phone. So let's hang tight with that a minute. But anyway, forgive yourself for the survival patterns you picked up while enduring trauma. And I say this because so often I'll be like, I can't believe you still do that. I can't believe you're not over that. How come you still fill in the blank, right? And it's like, because we're all broken until we're united in Christ at the end of our lives, we remain broken. Can we be less broken? Absolutely. Can our glue hold together better on some days than others? No doubt. But we're broken, right? So most of the time I'm in my adult. Most of the time I'm super able to hold myself together and function. But when there's triggers, you know, I joke about swearing being my first language, but it really was my first language. I literally got sent home from kindergarten because the teachers were like, your daughter's using inappropriate language. I don't know if you know that or where she got that from. Give me a break. not only did I have 10 older brothers and sisters and a dad who had been in the army, but foul language was fun, right? It would shock people. It was so cute to watch little Juliana say all those words so perfectly. Okay, so anyway, when I'm scared or when I'm tired or when I'm frustrated, swearing just pours out of my mouth, like a drunken sailor, if you will, and it certainly came from generations of sailors. So it's something I try and keep at bay, but it is definitely a default mechanism that I still go to when I'm overly tired, scared, frustrated. It becomes my first language. Another thing, obviously, food, right? Being able to control and comfort myself with food certainly was a survival pattern for me forever. I'm not practicing that today, but I'm acutely aware of that tendency. I was also thinking giggling. I giggle when I'm nervous, and I giggle when I'm scared. And it's not always appropriate, right? In fact, certainly in my life, it only angered the perpetrator more, because that person thought I was mocking them in some way or not taking their threats seriously, when I was really just being a tiny little kid who was just giggling out of fear. So many times. It's very hard for me not to smile, and I wonder if part of it is almost thinking, if I smile, if I'm cute, if I'm sweet, maybe the person won't rape me, beat me as hard, smack my face. It wasn't that effective, but it was definitely something that I did, and have a tendency to do. People think I'm being a sarcastic nightmare, and I'm really just using my survival patterns that I had totally mastered in trauma, right? Humor. Humor is a wonderful tool. I love it. But class clown, to get people's attention off of whatever it was, absolutely. Lying, so bad. I don't mind going to confession again and again, but I can be hard on myself sometimes about it. And it's a survival mechanism. I panic. I give my power away. I suddenly become very small and young. And my first thought is to lie. In the 12-step program, the 10th step is to make an amends, right? A daily amends. And so often in the moment, I'm able to self-correct, but not always. I would like to forgive my child, my inner child, and be kind and patient when it's super obvious. It's funny. In some ways, I have a poker face. I can fake anybody out. Oh my gosh, anybody. If I'm intentionally lying, even if it's a joke, it's so cruel. I can get the person to actually apologize for what they said when in fact they were telling the truth, and I'm like joking. And finally, when they get to the point of saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Juliana," and then I say, "Just kidding, you were right." Okay, I try not to do that anymore because it was funny once, a long time ago, but it's not anymore. But the point is, if I'm faking it, I can fake out anybody. Like, I've even proven it, like in a college course where person after person after person, we'd have to lie. And we would be describing in detail a photo that nobody could see until we showed them. And I would absolutely get the whole room to believe me until I turned it around and there was nothing on the paper. Things like that. But the reason I bring that up is because when I can never do a poker face is when I'm telling my truth. And I can't fake that face. And that's when people will see my face transform into a very small child, or into a panic attack, or into total frustration. Hence my number 11s. These 11s right here are not because I'm the 11th child in the family, okay? It's this action, right? So I can't fake any of that. And that's okay. I often say that we can only be redeemed or forgiven while we're still breathing, right? And so when people get called on their stuff and actually are forced to go to jail and deal with it, or forced to whatever, it's actually from God that they get a chance to redeem themselves in this life for the next life. And so when people call me on my stuff, I am forever grateful. As difficult as it may be, forever grateful to have to face up to whatever it is in that moment. But of course, like many, I'm my hardest critic, and I can be very cruel to myself. And I would like the grace to forgive myself for repeating certain behaviors that served me in the time, absolutely served me in the time. And I've kind of talked back and forth on whether my obesity ultimately served me. I thought I was protecting myself, but I found out there were predators who liked fat chicks too. And I came on to me anyway. So it didn't actually work. But that appeasing and satiating and satisfying of that, constant input of food did serve me for many years. It hasn't served me. Like so many things, ultimately it turns on us, right? And it absolutely turned on me. And I am undoing the damage of that. They always say in the 12-step program that if you end up killing yourself in the first 5 years, you've killed the wrong person. And I so get that. It's really the perpetrator that people are so angry at. But they say there's only two kinds of people: those who get back at others, and those who turn it inward on themselves. And I was that tendency to punish myself because I felt too helpless to punish the other person, right? So anyway, I came across this on Instagram. A friend of mine had posted it, and I thought, I so get that. Forgive yourself for survival patterns you picked up while enduring trauma. Yes, I so get that. And I accidentally practice them from time to time. And I know it's because in that moment I feel threatened in a very similar way. And when a certain individual who comes to mind, and I'm not saying it's their fault, it's my response to how they're acting towards me. And that might not be their head trip, and it might. It could simply be that they are triggering. Even my inability to speak right now is the intimacy of this conversation. I'm accidentally tripping over what I'm saying because a small part of me cannot believe I'm saying it out loud. You know what I mean? But anyway, they'll treat me a certain way, and I'll be like, okay, no one in my life treats me like that. Are you kidding me? And by all accounts, you, of all people, should not be treating me that way. But when they do that, I find myself kind of running a tape of, you're okay, Juliana. You're loved, Juliana. You're still special, Juliana. Like this second voice trying to comfort me in the insanity of that moment. And I remember as a small child, I used to comfort myself by rocking, right? And sometimes I accidentally start to do that as an adult, and I have to catch myself. But it was just a way for me to kind of, comfort myself and deal with the stress. One thing that I'm grateful for that I don't do very often, though sadly, God bless my husband, I still accidentally do, is this, right? That defense mechanism of don't hit me, or in fact blocking whatever is about to hit me. And as a preteen and, in elementary and middle school, the kids loved to do that to me because they knew every time I would flinch, every time. No teacher ever pulled me aside and said, "Hi, are you being hit?" Yeah, that wasn't a conversation that was going to happen. But that, like, I hated that I would give my power away every time. And in general, I don't. But if someone comes upon me too quickly, I absolutely flinch. It was a defense mechanism, right? It was a survival pattern. So, dear Juliana, peace of Christ be with you. I forgive you for faltering with food. I forgive you for lying in a panic in the moment. I forgive you for putting up your hand to defend yourself from being hit. I forgive you for giggling at inappropriate times. I forgive you for, like, I want to forgive myself and thank the universe for giving me those tools at a time that I needed them. And to recognize that many of them are not necessary now and have the grace to let them go. So indeed, I can get on with the version of myself that God intended. And, that includes letting go of this weight. Yes, I've released 135 pounds, yay God. But I still have, a good 65 pounds to go. And the releasing of that weight will come much easier if I am my own advocate and can trust that I will be safe in any body and to live in my adult. All right, my friends, I don't know if you can relate to any of that, but thank you for letting me share. Like if you like, join us if you haven't, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. To be fair, I am exhausted and it's well after midnight and I could just cry. I don't think staying up past midnight every night is a survival mechanism, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it. And until we talk again, best of all, know that I pray for you and that you're blessed.